One thing that you have used already is the view functions, and in this lecture I want to go through the 3 different function types that we have in Solidity. That is writing functions, view functions, and pure functions. So let's start with an example over here, example smart contract, example view and pure. Solidity, let me copy over the first part over here. And then contract, example, view, pure. Okay, let's define any kind of storage variable that you can think of. And I usually use unsigned integer, my variable. Or let's call this actually my storage variable to make this more clear. Okay, if I deploy this over here, then you already know what happens. It has a public, it's a public function. It is a public variable with a public getter function called my storage variable, and I can get this content of the storage variable back. Now, you also saw that these are color coded over here. That is purely for UX reasons, but you also know that this is a call, a so-called reading function. Now, there are 2 kinds of reading functions. The ones that are view functions, and I'm just going to explicitly write a view function now to access this my storage variable. Function get my storage variable, public view, and it returns an unsigned integer because it's gonna return my storage variable. Okay, if we deploy this, then we get the same result, obviously, and both of them are having the same color because both of them are view functions. Now, let me write a so-called pure function. Function get addition, uint A, uint B, public pure, returns uint, return A plus B. Okay, this one is a pure function, and the difference between a view function and a pure function is that the view function can access storage variables, or in general, it can access variables outside of the scope of the function, but it cannot write them. And the pure function can only call variables that are not storage variables or other pure functions. So in this case, we are just having the unsigned integer A and unsigned integer B as parameters, and we are not using any other storage variables or view function or write anything. So this is the major difference between view and pure functions. They have, interestingly, the same color coding, yet they are both called a call because they are reading operations. 5 and 6 should be 11. And they both cost nothing, virtually nothing. You still need gas because they burn some gas. There is some operations that are done, but you wouldn't pay anyone to mine a transaction. This is the difference to a writing function. So if we have a function set my storage variable uint a new variable, and then my storage variable is newbar. Then let me clear all of this. My storage variable is empty. I set it to 5. Now it's 5. You had this before. It has no kind of identifier, nothing that says it's a writing function. It is just not a view function. So it's actually writing something to the blockchain. The thing is, in Remix, because it is a simulated blockchain environment, you don't need to wait for the mining. Mining is here instantaneous. So as soon as you press the button, there's a new transaction that's being mined. You can actually return something over here. For example, the new variable returns. But let me tell you that this is actually a bad idea. When you open this up, you can see here that it actually returns it as a decoded output of the uint256 is 234. It is a bad idea because these return variables are actually only meant for inter-contract communication. So when contract A calls contract B and there's a return variable, then this can work. If you work on a real blockchain outside of this JavaScript virtual machine environment, then you actually use events for that. This is something we are going to do later. Just remember, writing functions usually don't have return variables, and if they have it, and it's only meant for other smart contracts, you cannot get the output over here. You can try this. We'll see later when we download MetaMask and use Gurley or Robston or other test networks or Ganache. Even in Ganache, you cannot see any output anymore. It's gonna be blank. Yeah, enough for the writing functions. This is all I wanted to talk about. Let's quickly talk about the constructor in Solidity, and then let's put it all together.